Hi, my name is Kate and I'm the SVP of Marketing here at Tryzens. So today we're going to have a quick chat with Sweaty Betty about their journey on Composable Storefront and how they really made the decision to start using composable commerce. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Alex. So Alex, would you like to introduce yourself and Sweaty Betty and what you do there?
Great, thanks, Kate. I'm Alex Dinsdale. I look after digital product at Sweaty Betty. I've been there about 4 years, and my team are responsible for ensuring that our customers have an amazing experience, whether that's in store or online. Our e-commerce journey has been a great one. A huge amount of growth during COVID, and building out the stack along the way. So day to day, the team's made up of UX, development, and product management.
Amazing. So could you tell us a little bit more about Sweaty Betty as a brand, just in case we've got some people who aren't UK natives?
So Sweaty Betty's actually been in the UK for 25 years since it was first founded. Its mission is to empower women through fitness and beyond. And we're very famous for our power leggings, which offer amazing sculpting support and are great for any kind of activity and exercise. The brand is also present in the US, Ireland, Australia, and also now China and Asia. Digital is the majority of our business, but we have 70 stores across the UK. You can find us on the shop floor in Nordstrom in the US, and also we have a number of wholesale partners. So yeah, it's been a growing brand, lots of footprint across the world.
Yeah, huge, amazing growth from you guys. And it's always really exciting when I see Sweaty Betty doing new things and entering new channels. And so leading on to my next point, you've recently launched Composable Storefront, which of course has a bit of a PWA base to it. So I would like for you to talk us through a little bit around how you made the decision. Like, why was it the right path for Sweaty Betty?
So if we wind the clock back to 2021 and our sort of where we were in terms of our e-commerce business, we really kind of mobile conversion rate is key. A lot of our new customers, and especially in countries like the US, come through paid social media, and conversion rate there also very much linked to our CPA. So our ability to grow, our ability to acquire customers, but not only that, a great site experience. Customers have such high expectations now. They're used to such great performing apps in their everyday lives, and 80% of them are on mobile devices, that we really had to focus on how we could really step change and improve our mobile experience. So that was really the kind of driver for why do something different. And we had been working over the last 12 months. Core Web Vitals is something that we continuously measure and seek to optimize. And we've been doing a number of different sprints and improvements to the site, and really kind of hit the ceiling of what was possible in terms of making that improvement to the site speed. And we really felt strongly, especially from looking at benchmarks and peers, and that like 1 second improvement in site speed can have a monumental difference. So that was the business driver for why we did it. But also it was really interesting because technically, we've got a fantastic e-commerce trading team that really understands Salesforce Commerce Cloud. We're really lucky that they know how to get the most out of things like Einstein and all of the merchandising tools available. So for us, we were mindful that they were a busy team. They had, a big enough job sort of running our e-com trading business. So we didn't want to too greatly disrupt them. So the consideration of moving on to a different platform entirely just was kind of off the table.
Yeah.
When you're on features with Salesforce and Commerce Cloud, we love the tool. It does so much for us. And what we were looking forward to was like, how do we make Commerce Cloud really work for us on mobile? And that's when the conversations began directly with Salesforce and with other folks in our network, and also with Tryzens as our SI, about the available options. And SFRA had become quite popular by that point. A number of different retailers had done implementations and seen the benefits, seen the uplift in site speed. It was quite straightforward in terms of what needed to be done, but also not a small amount of work. It's still a big undertaking to move from Site Genesis to SFRA. So we looked in depth at that option. We also looked at the idea of going sort of fully headless.
Yeah.
But when you think about the level of engineering that's required around the kind of scalability, security, and all the other microservices, we're an activewear retailer and we love doing that, but we still aren't a technology organization. So having the scale of in-house tech team to manage that was also probably too great a leap. So that also just happened to be kind of the right time where Salesforce's PWA kit or composable commerce product had really started to come to fruition and was sort of at a more adoptable, ready state. And we were particularly interested in it because having the React front end built out would be a huge enabler for how much more agile we would become in terms of introducing future change to the site. We'd recently just gone through a couple of big UX CX overhauls. So one had been to move from a 3-step checkout to a single page checkout. And also we'd done quite a big change to our PDP, and great quality work and lots of thought and consideration have gone into it. But it did take, a number of sprints, a lot of effort and investment across the team, and that ability to then test, move quickly, understand if it's worked. That you're always weighing that up as a product manager, right? You're always saying kind of what's the benefit versus the effort. So we wanted a way in which our product team and our developers could more quickly just make change to the customer elements of the experience. And we felt very strongly that that was the difference that React would make over SFRA potentially in terms of how we develop. And also we were particularly interested in managed runtime, because that part of the composable commerce product provides so much more flexibility in terms of the deployment of changes. So where before, if you were working on a 2-week sprint cycle, there needs to be that period for regression testing and ensuring that nothing in the sort of tightly coupled code is adversely impacted. With managed runtime, you can release, fixes or updates in a matter of seconds, roll them back, and it would even allow us to do that through the business. It just gave us a lot more flexibility. So for those reasons, and primarily the site speed gain, we felt like the leap that we could make by going on to composable and PWA weighed up with the effort of doing that versus the improvement that we could make through SFRA and the effort there, that PWA is the one we wanted to go after.
Yeah, and I guess to your point earlier, you've got a team that completely understands how to use Salesforce, right? For merchandising, trading, that sort of thing. And I guess the benefit that you guys really got as well was that, from having had past conversations with you, is that your team don't have to relearn a completely new system. And you get like the benefit of being able to make those quick changes, but I guess the benefit of not having to retrain a whole organization in a new way of working. And they're working with the same tools, and they get to use, the scheduling of the content and the previews and the customer groups and that sort of thing. And it just, reduces some of that pain for you.
Totally. And all the integrations that you have to consider, right? Like testing changes to order flow, payments. We could be fairly comfortable that the APIs that we currently use into those other enterprise systems weren't being touched or changing. What we were really focused on was exposing the commerce APIs into the front end, and we could have that level of confidence that actually technically the effort and the impact on the wider organization, as you say, would be minimized.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we know the why now. So tell me a little bit more about the how. How did you go about, setting the org up for the change and, getting it all launched and ready? And what did that process really look like for you guys?
I think actually this is part of what we did that I'm potentially most proud of, because it's the most different way of working I've ever done in terms of introducing technology change. And it came about by chatting to some folks that had been involved in the initial sort of build out of the Mobify commerce product, and also with Tryzens, and thinking differently about what's the benefit of speed to market, what's the importance of demonstrating the value and the impact that the technical change has made, and how do you maintain momentum, focus, and ensure that you get the product that you really want at the end of it. And with that, our mindset back in sort of June, July last year, when we went ahead with this, was actually let's pick one market first. So let's not try and do all. So we have 4 sites. We have the UK, rest of the world, Ireland and EU, Australia, New Zealand, and then US, Canada. And there's globally, cross-border and things plugged into this as well. But we then said, okay, the US is our second most important market. So significant in terms of the moving the needle on the business there, but also the UK is our biggest market, potentially more complex and a bigger risk. So there's that way up. And the other part of it was actually learning what needed to really change. So the PWA kit part, the rebuild of the front end, was a really great team effort, real collaboration with Tryzens and another partner, and really thinking about kind of, actually, let's not change the UX, let's not change the design. We've done a lot of work in the lead up to that on having a design system and a digital style guide and things, and that served us very well. And where things weren't components already, we made sure that they were. We also rethought our CMS hierarchy and schema and made that a lot more sort of component driven. So did all that work up front, but actually within 8 weeks, from July to September, we'd rebuilt the front end of our US website and exposed a number of the key APIs to drive that experience. So we had PDPs, PLPs, a checkout. It wasn't customer ready yet, but rather than doing a big sort of paper exercise, hundreds and hundreds of like hypothetical JIRAs and workshops and what isn't there, the best way of learning actually where there were gaps in potentially the product or things that we hadn't thought about was by doing them and then testing it. And so we did that prototyping through code. So July to September, and then September to November was the refinement of that and the final sort of build out and ensuring that it was a good enough site to launch for our US market, but it still included choices. So Helen, who is our lead digital product manager and the force behind all of this change, did an incredible job of just managing the business's expectations and weighing up the customer benefit of features like the wish list. And when you actually dig into the data and you look at the analytics and the usage and the impact that it really has on conversion, it was a call, but it was like, actually, let's not spend our time rebuilding the wish list for this, but it's more important that we can get this live and get that site to be benefit in front of our US customers in time for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And that was how we went about it. So the first step was, let's get the US live, let's get it in the wild, and also let's use this managed runtime aspect of the product where you can split traffic and you can actually drive 25% of traffic to the new site, but 75% to the existing, and compare it completely like for like, the same promotions and offers and product range, the same UX and design. The only thing we were comparing was the site speed. And that was the most telling thing, when we were seeing that sort of 30-40% improvement on bounce rate on our new site versus old, and time to DOM of less than 1 second, and improvements on conversion rate of 30%. We were like, is this real? And actually, over the course of 2 weeks in the US, could slowly crank it up from 25% to 50% to the point where we could like be nearly 100% for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which in terms of the incremental revenue and that difference was phenomenal. And we're so glad that we took that step. We then knew that to do the build up for the rest of the world was going to require a few more months. So we spent the first quarter of this year motoring through that, a number of different sprints, things like cross-border functionality and click and collect for our UK stores. And then by April, May, we were ready to launch all the rest of our world sites. And proud to say we're fully live now.
That's amazing. And so I guess on that note, what are the benefits? What are the results you've been seeing? I know it is early days for you guys, and I know you had some absolutely spectacular results over Black Friday, Cyber Monday in the US. And, I'm just keen to understand what you're seeing as a, result and a benefit for the customer, but also the business at Sweaty Betty.
Right. So I think we're looking at it at a number of layers. So I think conversion rate overall can actually be quite a tough metric to judge things by, especially by the time you're sort of 100% onto the new stack. So we've been focusing instead on kind of micro conversions or different aspects through the funnel. So we've definitely seen more customers spending more time on the site. We've seen more people getting to our product detail pages from our PLPs. So finding something they're interested in. We've seen more add to baskets, and we've seen better checkout progression and completion. So, across all of those micro conversions, things are up, which is great. Site speed is definitely reduced significantly. As I said, time to DOM is less than a second, but actually if you dig into the core web vitals, which is really what sort of Google and the customer experience is felt by, in terms of like time to really kind of load and be available to interact with, that is significantly improved from where we were before. And actually being live with the US, we've seen about a 45% improvement in our search performance, both paid and organic.
Really?
In that time. There's been some, keyword optimizations and other performance marketing aspects to it, but we really do believe, and our colleagues in the growth team agree, that by having that speedier site and hitting those Google Core vitals, it's had that uplift as well. So actually, it's greater than just when the customer's on the site, because those improved conversion rates do feed our CPAs and our ability to kind of bring more traffic in, and also hopefully make us a great destination that customers come and shop with us again. And I think the other softer benefit is just the team and seeing how they work and the way that they're thinking now and what might be possible. So we're doing some integrations to change the way that our customer data flows, so that we can have more sort of real live profiles and do more personalization and audience targeting within the site. And again, a piece of work that would probably have taken maybe 4 or 5 sprints is being done in 2 now, because of the availability of those APIs and the ease in which that we can set up those services. And also, I think, like, our vision for where we want to further refine the basket or our PLPs, we're quite confident about how we would do that, and actually not needing to do sort of full stack change. We can do that with our senior React developer in-house, and quite quickly improve the visual experience that our customers are going to have, whether it's like the color swatches or the size of the imagery or the way that we present product names and things, whereas that would have been a chunkier overhaul before.
Yeah, I mean, it must be just so exciting to be able to launch new things so quickly, because I know for you guys it used to take weeks, right? It used to take weeks and weeks, and now it's a case where you can do it in, like, a blink of an eye, right, in terms of progress. So it must be so exciting for you guys. Well, I want to say thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for sharing some of your knowledge, and it was lovely to have you today.
Thanks, Kate.
Have a good night.